Hi guys, so lovely to have you with me today. Thank you for signing up for this first part of this video series, and this is all about emotional alchemy and our emotions, to understand and to really tap into what is really going underneath, what is really going on underneath everything that's coming to the surface. That is really massive when it comes to actually just really shifting a lot of things subconsciously that maybe you've noticed certain patterns or behaviors going on, but you've never really been able to kind of get to the bottom of it and to really get to understand what is driving these patterns, what is driving these emotions that just keep kind of like coming to the surface. And the first thing to start with, emotions, first of all, is understanding emotional alchemy. What does alchemy mean? First of all, alchemy is about transmitting from one state to another. In the beautiful book, The Alchemist, it was all about transforming lead into gold. And so really, firstly, understanding that there is no such thing as a bad emotion. Unfortunately, we've been brought up in a world where our emotions such as anger or fear or sadness haven't been as valued as those emotions such as bliss and love and joy, right? And so we get to a stage where we are just so used to bottling this up within us, as in the emotions that we don't want to feel or the emotions that we deem to be bad, that we bury it. And so we can get to a point where it becomes actually really challenging to actually know what it is we're feeling. We just can get really confused with our whole spectrum of emotions. So first of all, I would say the first thing is to understand that there's no such thing as a bad emotion. Your emotions are really powerful feedback tools, feedback links for you to actually dig deeper and to really actually give you a portal to connect not only with yourself, but your higher self, source, consciousness, universal love, light, God, whatever you desire to call it. It gives you this portal to actually go and connect to something way beyond just this physical self, this little I that we experience on a daily basis. So first of all is honoring what comes up, honoring those emotions, honoring all emotions. That is really phase number one. And to really shift this perspective as to when an emotion does come up that is maybe undesired, instead of instantly going to this place where you want to shut off, maybe numb it, maybe distract yourself with something, the moment you feel an emotion come up, first of all, see if you can begin to catch yourself and to actually just witness that part of you that may want to shut it down, that may want to numb it out, and breathe. Breathing, creating space for you to actually just experience the emotion. And so it's just breaking this pattern from going into autopilot. We all have these patterns of autopilot. An emotion of anger comes up and maybe we shut it down with a distraction technique that we've just become so used to doing that we don't even realize we're doing it. So noticing the emotion come up, we simply create space, we maybe breathe, and we allow ourselves to actually witness and be in and with the emotion fully. Now that's really powerful, because what you're doing in this spaciousness is you actually get to pull yourself out of your own mind and your own body and start to see yourself from this kind of third perspective. And what that does is it allows you to witness yourself or to witness the emotion without so much attachment. You create this kind of neutrality, so to say. In Reiki, we talk about it a lot. really harnessing this idea of being in neutrality. It's a powerful place to be, because from neutrality, you don't judge, you don't run the same story, you don't run the same patterns, and you're actually giving yourself the space to observe. And that's really a powerful place to get to. Even if you don't go any further than that to begin with, that's an amazing place to get to. So from this place of observing, this is when you can start to get curious. And curiosity is a beautiful place to be in, because it opens our minds up. It frees us from these regimented, controlling thoughts that we just get so used to experiencing. We all have this inner voice that is maybe a little bit critical, that is maybe a little bit judgmental, that loves to kind of repeat the same story when something comes up, when we're triggered by something. So in the stillness, we separate ourselves, we see with neutrality, we see the emotion come up, and we allow ourselves to be with it. And then the third step is getting curious. So through curiosity, think of yourself as like this beautiful 4-year, 5-year-old self, this beautiful child. And when you see a child playing, they're so curious. Everything is an adventure, right? They are using their imagination. Like a little sofa and a blanket can suddenly become this most incredible den, and so through this lens of curiosity and this sense of innocence, we can then tap into something greater than the little monkey mind that wants to keep us trapped in the cycle, in the pattern. And so when we get curious, it's like, oh, like this is interesting, right? Why am I feeling this? What story am I creating right now that's creating this emotion, first of all? What are my beliefs and what are my stories around me actually having and feeling this emotion? All of your emotions are powerful. Anger is incredibly powerful and it has its place. Fear can debilitate us if we allow it to, or we can use it to actually really get clarity around what is our next growth stage, what is our next step to really actually grow and to expand in the direction that we actually really want to. So firstly, it's coming back to that place of really getting curious, getting interested, discovering why is it that I'm feeling this? What is the pattern that's playing out right now? And then if you get to that phase and you're really kind of sitting with it, you're getting that kind of clarity, you're allowing yourself to feel it. First of all, that's really important, is even though we can be in neutrality, it's not to detach. This is about actually reconnecting us to our emotions. So it's not about this kind of cold detachment. We're going to really be with it. And that's why, being in a beautiful sacred space or having someone who can coach you through actually staying in that place of discomfort can be really powerful. But we all have our own ways. So if you can do this and you feel yourself kind of uncovering a layer, coming back to this truth or witnessing a pattern, then it's really empowering for you to, in this void, typically once you've felt through the emotion and you've really kind of allowed yourself to go into it, typically what happens afterwards is there is a sense of clarity. And from that sense of clarity, it's the most beautiful time to really kind of feel into what is it that I'm desiring. Okay, I'm feeling this is coming up. I was triggered by such and such, or a story that I was running, and I've allowed myself to feel it, and I've uncovered why I'm feeling that way. Is it my little girl or little boy crying out? Or is there something else going on that I just really need to actually be with and hold that space of unconditional love for myself in this moment to feel it all? And then after feeling it all, there comes this point where you feel this sense of elation. It's like the weight has been lifted off you and you'll feel really light and really clear. And from that place, then it's really kind of alchemizing that lead into gold by actually really alchemizing, okay, what is it that I desire in life? What is it that I desire to create? Is this story, is this pattern going to help me come from this place to the place that I desire? And if it doesn't, okay, what can I do to actually take myself and choose something more empowering? So what pattern can I replace with? What story, what meaning can I create that's actually going to pull me forward into the direction without this feeling of like forcing or pushing? Allow your emotions to actually pull you forward into that direction that you desire. But most of all, you know, even if you don't get to that stage, it's like feeling like this sense of peace and this sense of presence by simply allowing yourself to actually feel the emotion fully. If you don't want to get intellectual, if you don't want to get into your head and really think about what is going on or what are the deeper layers to be released, that's absolutely fine. There is no black or white. You know, we all have our processes. But really, you know, the most empowering and the most powerful part of this is really coming to a place where you can create the space for yourself to actually feel whatever wants to come up, and to break this pattern of numbing, distracting, or just ignoring, because this is like spring cleaning. You know, the first few times that you do this, or maybe a lot of times that you do this, you know, you're clearing out years and years and years of kind of things that you haven't processed or allowed yourself to feel. But as the journey goes on, it's like the spring clean. It's like, you know, there's not as many cobwebs and there's not as much stuff to go through because you've already cleared a lot. And so the processing just becomes so much lighter, becomes so much quicker. Not always, but it definitely becomes like more in flow. It feels more intuitive more than anything. So I hope that helps. It's really just wanting to send you so much love and really allowing you to give you full permission to feel everything and to express those emotions. You know, all of your emotions have a role to play, and so it's really honoring that, and also really uncovering, like, if there is this inner child work that needs to be done, you know, really seeing yourself as this beautiful 4-year-old, 5-year-old self, so that when you are experiencing those emotions, that you can treat yourself with kindness and compassion and with lots of love, just as if you would if you did have your 5-year-old self in front of you. You know, really holding them, loving them, being really present with them, and really honoring whatever they're feeling, because it matters what you feel in that moment. Or even if it's not about attaching to our emotions or our feelings, in that moment it feels incredibly real. So really giving yourself that space, and then coming into neutrality, maybe if it ever gets to a point where it feels too much and you actually just need to pull yourself out of it a little bit. That's a really beautiful tool that you can go into as well. I'm going to be sharing other videos diving a little bit deeper into emotional alchemy, but I would love to hear from you. If any questions pop up from this video, if you suddenly have lots of questions around, maybe it was one of the stages of, you know, setting the space, of maybe trying to witness your ways that you maybe numb or distract yourself, or how to cultivate neutrality, whatever it may be, I would love to hear from you. Know that this is a safe space. This is a place where you get to be all things, because in your allness, that is perfection. And with everything, with everything, you know, becomes this sense of real power and presence and inner knowing, which we all, you know, really need in this world right now. So please ask away any questions. You're always welcome to share this video with anyone who you feel like could really need it right now. But mostly just take the time to cultivate a little bit more stillness, a little bit more simplicity, and to just pull back a little bit so you can just create that space for yourself and for that kind of self-observation. So sending you so much love. Thank you for joining me, and I'll speak soon. Lots of love.